Okay, everyone, thank you for joining me today this TacticalPad webinar. My name's David Baird. Technology is not my strong point. These webinars are very much taking me out of my comfort zone, having to do this kind of thing from home as opposed to sitting next to someone and showing them how to use TacticalPad. So please bear with me, but initially I can obviously see a lot of people have their cameras on. Can I just get a thumbs up if everybody can see my presentation about to start and my audio is working okay? Is everything seem okay? Thanks, everyone. So it seems to be I'm getting the majority of thumbs up. So if you have an issue, it may be from your side as opposed to from my side. So today I'm going to speak about TacticalPad. And as I say, I am not someone who's very good with computers, someone who's very good with software, someone who's very good with IT. I'm simply a coach who has found TacticalPad to be very user-friendly, very easy to use, and very beneficial to my coaching. So I'm not going to present as someone who knows loads and loads of technological stuff. I'm going to present as a coach who has found TacticalPad useful. TacticalPad at the moment, during this tough time of lockdown, it's free at the moment, and we have a lot of people that are signing up to use it. This webinar is very much pitched at people that have just got TacticalPad or that are new to TacticalPad. I can't pitch it at the level that every individual's at, so it will be very basic. However, if you want to pick up more complicated conversations, I will share my email address, and what I will say is the guys at TacticalPad are always very, very open to helping people out. So if we don't cover something today, please just get in touch and let me know. I'll do a short presentation. I don't want to keep you for any more than an hour. If it goes longer than that, I've probably gone too long. And then at the end, I can take the microphones off and people can ask me questions and I can maybe show some things that you were maybe hoping to see today. You can also utilize the chat function to ask some questions. I'll try and keep an eye on it, but at the end, I'll scroll through it and I'm able to save that conversation so I can reach out to anyone who I maybe wasn't able to answer the question. So I hope that's pretty straightforward. I'll just start with my presentation here. So I'm going to simply show you what I use TacticalPad for, and hopefully you can take some ideas from that. So as a coach, I use TacticalPad to share my ideas as a coach with other coaches, and I'll show you how you can share the content that you create on TacticalPad, and I'll also show you how you can automatically pull loads and loads of content from coaches all around the world. The fantastic function on TacticalPad is, of course, you can create content, but you can instantly access content that's previously been created by others. And so I use that function a lot, and we'll talk about that today. Another function I use is from a tactical standpoint, tactical presentations to my players, tactical analysis of oppositions, etc., etc. We'll touch on that briefly, but that's probably a more individual basis in regards to how you want to utilize that. Animated session plans and also static session plans. So they're the four main things that I use TacticalPad for that I'm going to briefly touch on today, just to give you an introduction to TacticalPad and what you can use it for. Before we open TacticalPad, I'll just give you demonstrations for those that aren't familiar maybe with my terminology. So a static session plan, if I just click on my static session plan, you would be creating a session plan that essentially looks like this, something that I can print out and take onto the pitch with me, or I can save and have a catalogue of a session or a season-long plan. So some pictures, some text, you can use TacticalPad to make a session plan. What I will say as well is everything that is created today will be shared with you through the chat function and followed up via email. I'll send an email with all this as well. This is my second TacticalPad presentation, so I've decided to create different content. I'll also share with you the content we made in the first one as well. So you should get a couple of little templates and things today as well. So static session plans is one thing that I'll touch on today and I utilize a lot. Animated session plans, such as this is an exercise or a practice as shown here. This would be an example of an animated session plan. So today we will go over the basics of creating animated practices, session plans, content. Tactical presentations, just another short video to give an example of what we can do with TacticalPad. So we'll look at some things maybe from a tactical point of view and things that can help you in your coaching and your analysis and your team management. And then the final thing I use, as I've briefly already touched on, is to share my content and learn from other coaches as well. As you'll all appreciate, we're always learning in this beautiful game that we're all involved in. For example, I have another webinar running at the moment, which is Inventive Play, which is all content. It's a curriculum or a syllabus that I have created for 8 to 12-year-olds, all created on TacticalPad. So I'm running another webinar at the moment to share my coaching ideas through TacticalPad. That's not what today is about. Today is about simply trying to walk through the 4 points here of how we use TacticalPad. And I hope that's pretty straightforward, and thank you very much for joining me today. So if you bear with my technology just for a minute, you will see that I am now going to open TacticalPad. I'll give that a minute just for everyone's computers to catch up. If what you see now is TacticalPad, can I just have another thumbs up? If you can see TacticalPad, great. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to utilize the settings function here. There's a few options in there. I just want to full screen just to give you a better option. So that's where you would do that. I guess that's the first thing, that settings tab. You can also change the language. If it's not English as your preferred language, you can change the language. You can do a couple of other things there. So let's just have a brief introduction to what you will see on TacticalPad. So new project simply would be you're opening a new TacticalPad project. TacticalPad saves and opens as a TacticalPad file. And so I would create a new project. I could open a TacticalPad project. I obviously have a lot saved on my laptop of previous projects and previous session plans. I could save that at work I'm doing, again, as a TacticalPad project, save as, obviously, just to name it. Settings, you can have a look in there at your own time. Help, it will give you contact details, and it'll also give you tutorials of a lot of what I'm going to cover today, but maybe a lot more complicated things as well. Go through all the features. Share, I'll utilize that in real time today. I'll create some sessions and then I'll show you how I share them and share them obviously with you guys. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Field is pretty self-explanatory. How would I like my field to look when I'm designing whatever it is I'm designing? So you've got loads of different matrices here, and you have different sports as well, because TacticalPad is obviously very transferable to different sports. The image up the top left-hand side here is a great one. If we don't have the field that you're wanting to use, you can just upload an image and that will become your field, and you can do all your tactical stuff on top of that. So for example, I have uploaded images of a player in one of my games and their body position or whatever, or how they were approaching a defender, and then I've drawn over the top of TacticalPad and it gets a little bit more analytical. So you can put anything you want on there in regards to how you want the pitch to look. You can half pitch in regards to this side of the pitch or in regards to that side of the pitch. So you can change the view of the pitch using the field tool, which I'll obviously use today throughout. Okay, when we're looking at our teams, so we've got two teams, one on the left-hand corner and one on the right-hand corner. Just be mindful of where your conversation boxes are, just you might need to move it so you can see everything on the screen. If I click on the left-hand team here, it'll give me my players. I can obviously drag onto the pitch and move around, and we'll see this in real time as I start to plan some sessions. You can also adjust how these players look and what they're called and what number they have, if they have any number on their back, just by going into team setting. So in team setting, I can change the color of the strips of, team A or team B. I can change the name of the teams. So if I want to call this one Scotland, and I wanted to call this Team Italy, I would maybe click on this picture here. I'll try and slow down just so I'm not talking faster than the animation is moving. If I was to click on that picture there, I could just go into my computer, my desktop, my folders, and upload a badge for the team, or maybe it's a picture of me as the coach if I'm designing a session plan. Maybe it's a picture of my players. The style is in regards to, is it a striped jersey? Is it a plain jersey? Obviously, just the style of how you want your players to look. And the appearance is similar, but do you want a name and a number? Do you want just a marker here? Do you want their position to show in whatever it is you're creating, session plan or animation? Are you going to upload a picture? And I'm going to show you that a little bit later on. Yeah, a couple of different variations. Do you want to see the strip, etc., etc.? So if I was to want my appearance to be picture, name, number, I would select that appearance. I would go into team squad here, and I could name the player, put their number, put their position. Are they going to start the game? If it is a bit of analysis we're doing, if it's just a session plan, you won't need this. Are they wearing a bib? Are they not wearing a bib? I'll show you a shortcut to do that a little bit later on. Advanced mode would just be in regards to clicking on this here and putting a photo of the player so you could see that actual player, the photo of them as you're animating them. They essentially become your markers that you move around on TacticalPad. As we go through, you'll see loads of functions, and some of what I'm saying will become more relevant. For example, if I'm going to plan a session and have all my players' names and pictures and where I want them to do in that session, it may be after the session I want to take some notes on how they performed in that session or how they performed in that game, so I can look back at the game later on. So you might want to write some notes, played well, worked hard, whatever it may be, stuck to their position. If you hit this 4 corners here, you can put notes using the 4 corner model, which I know a lot of coaches obviously use. So I may be getting ahead of myself a little bit here, but I think the main thing in TacticalPad is just to play around with it and realize there's loads and loads of functions. And if I was to go through all of the functions, we would be here for a lot longer than we want to be. So today's just an introduction. You may wonder why it asks for the skin tone. As it says here, that's for the 3D function. So if I just come out of here for a second and we go back into menu, there's a 3D function. So everything I'm showing today is kind of 2D, but we might go into 3D every now and then and see how it's looking, because essentially everything you plan, you can see it as 3D with the players running around and playing. And there's loads of different functions you can do in there if you're a little bit more experienced in using TacticalPad. So if I was to go into my team, so I'm just going to get my team kind of looking how I maybe want them to look for planning my sessions here. I've also got stored teams as well. So as a coach who obviously plays opposition, I tend to store, I tend to do some analysis on the team that I'm playing and then create them on TacticalPad so I can open them for when we're going to play them again and look at the notes, etc., etc. So you can store teams. Probably a good idea to have your own team stored in there. For the purpose of today, a couple of teams that I have stored in there. Barcelona. So if I was to use Barcelona in today, now one of my teams are going to appear as Barcelona. So I don't want them, the red and blue dot. I want them a name and number. I want them, pictures, name and number. So for example, this is a team that I have pre-stored. When I'm designing my session plan, when I'm designing whatever it is I'm about to design, I can have my players or Barcelona, Scotland, Real Madrid, whoever it is in here today. So for the purpose of planning sessions today, I will use the 2 teams that I have stored here. I'll use Real Madrid and Barcelona, essentially just meaning my markers are going to be red and blue and white. I will make the appearance, I'll make the appearance just name and number. And now I'm going to start with the first thing that I use TacticalPad for, which is creating static session plans, so pictures and accompanying text. So what I would do is I would go into menu, and I would go into boards. So this is a real crucial part of it. The boards tab is one that you're probably going to use a lot. And boards are just essentially different components. Are you doing a session that's going to have, warm up and then introductory activity, condition game related, however it is you plan sessions, that would be your boards. So I'm going to make a static session plan. So, and if I want to add another board here, so for example, I'm going to name this first board practice, and I'm going to create a practice on this board here, and this is a static session plan. We won't spend as much time on this one, but this is how we design a session that's a picture with accompanying text to maybe print off, as I showed earlier. So this is my board here. I'm now going to do some stuff on it. If I go into, as I say, the top right hand to click on the Barcelona badge, there's my players that I can pull on. If I want some Real Madrid players, click on the other badge. There's my players that I can put on. If I go into tools and I go into items, here's my cones, balls, bibs, goals, mannequins. Again, if we don't have an item there that you need, there's an add tab if you just want to upload another picture. So for example, when I'm working with really young players and I'm planning a session that's a little bit more storybook and it's on aliens and spaceships and dinosaurs, I can get pictures of these things put on TacticalPad, which is a great function. So this is where I get my items. Now this is going to eventually become a picture with some text that tells me what's going to go on in the session plan. So all you would do is you would go into notes and you would type in whatever the text is going to be that comes along with your picture. Now I've obviously typed this up so I didn't have to do it in front of everyone. So what I'm going to try and show in my static picture is on the coach's call of right or left, the goalkeeper distributes the ball to attacker on that side. At the same time, the defender runs in the same direction, and that creates a one-to-one. So I'm going to try and bring this to life through a picture. So here we go. I'm going to use 8 players. You can see in this advanced tab here. So I'm going to probably progress to 4 aside. So my space is probably going to be 40 by about 25. This is all additional information you may want to put on your session plan. Intensity, fun, activity time, depends on how much fun they're having, how long I'll run it for, etc., etc. So you can put this information on that will transfer onto your session plan. Now, if I'm playing 4v4, I probably need to change my field. So I'm going to use this one here. And I'm also going to change the aspect because I think it looks a little bit better, side views as opposed to flat view. Okay. So the first thing I think I need, if I follow the description that I've put out in my notes, would be a couple of goals. So I'm going to bring a goal on here. I'm going to bring a goal on here. And I obviously need some players. So I think I described that it was a goalkeeper. Put a goalkeeper in one goal. Put a goalkeeper in another goal. What you'll find as I create session plans, I'll make mistakes and I'll show you how to correct those mistakes. So I'll just make a couple of session plans live today, but I won't labour the point. I won't take up too much of your time. Already I'm thinking my player's a little bit too big and my item's a little bit too big. So if you just go into team settings again, player/item size, I'm just going to make that a little bit smaller and that'll adjust the ratio of players here. Okay, and I'm already realizing on my session plan we weren't in teams yet. It wasn't two different teams. So I'm going to take this Real Madrid player off. I'm going to put another Barcelona player on, so everyone's in the same color. The names and numbers aren't relevant, so I'm going to change the appearance from names and numbers to that. So you can see what I mean, how you'll make mistakes as you go along, and they're very easy to change. Now I want everything to look quite symmetrical and look quite good. So a little trick I use quite a lot is I'll go into fields and I'll use these kind of lines to help identify where I want cones and things like that. So I'm going to put a cone there, and I'm going to put a cone there. That's where my players start. I said in the description I had a defender behind the goal, I had a defender behind the goal, and that will leave me with 2 attackers on each side, which will give me my 8 players. So 1 attacker ready to go, and 1 attacker lined up behind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You may put in your notes that the goalkeepers are involved in this this rotation as well. I'm now going to change my field back because those lines were only to help me put my cones out. So I'm going to change my field back to that there. The coaches, I've obviously tried to pick a practice where I can show a lot of features. So the coach was involved in this in regards to the coach shouts a command. The coach shouts right or left. So we have some tabs here in the items, C for coach. But as I say, you might upload a picture of yourself as a coach and put a picture on here, but I'll just use coach here. The footballs start with a goalkeeper. So I'm going to pull a football from the items tab. I think that football's a little big and compared to the players. So I'm going to double click any item and I'm just going to use this minus to make it a bit smaller. Now I need loads of footballs because this is essentially a bit of a goalkeeper distribution / shooting exercise. So I'm just going to hit copy and paste button here and that'll just give me more footballs. And I'll put a load of these footballs in this next to this goal here. And I'll put a pile of these footballs next to this goal here. Now remember, I've got the accompanying text that tells me what's going on. So essentially the coach is going to shout, the goalkeeper's going to have a ball and the coach is going to shout right or left. So I want to show that. So next to the coach here, I'm going to add some text. So I hit text, put it next to the coach, and let's say, for example, the coach shouts right on this occasion here. I'll maybe make that text a little bit bigger to emphasize the point. I'll maybe take away the background if I wish. I can change the color of the background. I can change the color of the text. And these are all things you'll pick up a lot quicker the more you use TacticalPad. So the coach has shouted right, which means, if I understood the explanation correctly, this goalkeeper is going to play the player to the right. This goalkeeper is going to play the player to the right. And you can see I've got still in tools and edit and using all these here. This player will then go 1v1 with the keeper there. This player will then go 1v1 with the keeper there. It also said in my description that whatever the coach shouts, that's the direction the defender goes as well. So this defender here, utilising arrows, will run around the goal right and go and defend 1v1. This one here will run around the goal to their right and come and defend 1v1. Now, as I'm doing that, I'm already thinking that looks a little bit complicated with all the arrows being the same color. So I want to delete the defender's arrows. So I use the rubber here. Click on this rubber, click on the arrow, delete that, delete that. Then I'm going to click back onto the arrows, make it look the way I want it to look. This time I want it to be yellow. I want it to be a little bit smaller. There's 2 different arrows down here. So there's a one that essentially you're going to draw the line. There's a one that essentially you're going to arch the line. So I want the defender to run there, but using the arch, they need to run there, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. So I click on the defender, I click on where I want them to run, and then I adjust the arch there. And I think that looks a little bit better. I may want to bring the coach a little bit closer to the action here. I may want to half the pitch which means I would want to adjust this, turn it around. So as you see, I'm making mistakes as I go, I'm changing things as I go, which is absolutely fine. And maybe that looks a little bit better in accompanying with the text that I've already provided. It might make a little bit more sense, and hopefully everyone's still with me there. So there's a static session plan. I would now want to share that. So share, and I've got loads of options in here. Do I want to share it as a picture, which will essentially give me the picture that I have on the screen? The answer for me at the moment is no, because I want the text with it. So I want to share it as a document. I can do JPEG or I can do PDF. I may do one of each just for the purpose of showing this. So let's say I do a JPEG. I use the top left-hand image. As you can see, that will give me the picture and the text underneath. And then it's just going to ask me where do I want to save it. If I go into today's webinar, and here's a list of some things to share in the chat. So I'll call this practice 1. And that will share it there. And then we'll just quickly go in and have a look at that. And hopefully what you can see on now is the static image that I've made along with the text underneath to tell you what is happening in that image. And hopefully that's pretty kind of self-explanatory. What I'm going to do at this stage, just while I remember, is I will share that file in the chat. Any issues with receiving it, don't worry, I'll share everything through email as well. Okay. So practice 1, that should be sending. What I'm going to share with you now as well is what we created in the previous webinar, just doing different ones so you have maybe some different content. So the 2v2 box that I used in the first presentation, that short animation, I'll share that. Just an example of what we can do. We also created some session plans, so a dribbling session. And we did some rondos as well. Okay, so that's me just sharing essentially a practice. That's all I was sharing there. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it into more of a session plan. So I'm going to add another component to it very quickly, hopefully. So if I go into boards here, this was essentially my practice. And then you may have 4 or 5 components to your session plan. I'm not sure. I'm just going to have 2. I'm going to have a practice and then a game. So I'm just going to go boards. Now, I don't necessarily want to create everything again. I could add a new board, but I'm actually just going to copy and paste using this function here to use this board again. And I'm going to call this one play. So we've had a practice, now we're going to have a game. I'm just going to take these notes that I created earlier and copy and paste it. Copy and paste it into here. So the game now is 4v4 with an inventive incentive, which is if you score, you get to go and get a bonus goal. So essentially, what I'm wanting to change now, very quickly, and we'll move on to static session plans in a second. So what I want to change now is I'm going into a game. So I probably want to remove all of that. What would you call it? All of the arrows and things. So if you want to remove one arrow, you would use the rubber and click on it. If you want to remove all of the arrows, you would just click this rubber underneath and that will just make sure you definitely want to remove all the ink from your session, because you don't want to do that by accident, obviously, but I do. I want to remove all of it there. And now I'm going into a 4v4, so I maybe do want to utilize the Real Madrid team, or maybe I just want to double click on players and bib them up. That's all you need to do, is double click and bib them up. If this was a game, you can, you know, sub them off, sub them on, give them a goal, give them assist, give them a red card, make them captain, just to go over that while it was in front of me. But we'll get onto that later on tactical stuff. Okay, I'm not going to utilize the bib function. All I'm going to do is drag off the players that I don't need anymore. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 4 that I have here, 1, 2, 3, 4, will essentially become a team. And I'll get 4 of the white players on here. You'll see I've still got them as numbers and names, which I don't necessarily need. So I'll go into team settings, appearance, and take away the numbers and names. And all I've got here is a 4v4. That's essentially what my game was going to be. To stick on the theme, I just had this kind of fun adaptation where we had go. Let's say for the purpose of showing another thing, I wanted to create a little area here. You can use circles and boxes, whatever color you want, to create a small area here. I don't want it as a circle, so I'll use a rubber. And this time I'll select a square. I want the line to be a bit thicker. And as I say, it's just a case of playing around with until you get it. What you could do as well is you could have that as a shaded area. But I don't want the shaded area. So what my game was essentially, and it says this in the accompanying text, when a player scores this time, so let's say the ball is with this player here. When a player scores, oh, I don't want a white line. As I say, I'll keep making mistakes and just showing you how I correct them as I go. If a player scores, I'm then going to use a dotted line to show that they would then run over to this area here. They would receive a ball from the goalkeeper, and then they can score again for a bonus goal. All explained in my notes. So it kind of sticks a little bit on theme. That player scores, runs across, the goalie gets to work on the distribution, takes a touch, and then finishes for a bonus goal. And that will all need to be done at pace, because while he or she is doing that, the opposition currently have a 4v3 to try and get a goal of themselves, which hopefully they do, and then another player can come over and work on distribution from their goalkeeper and score, all accompanied by the text, just to quickly move on from these static sessions, because I think we've got the idea. It says in my notes as well, fun altercations and fun adaptations in regards to crossbar challenge or 1v1s or beat the goalie. But anyway, that's essentially my game. So what I want to do now is I want to share this as a document. I'm going to do a PDF this time. I'm going to call it Session Plan 1. Now, I've got quite a few boards on this TacticalPad project, so I just need to select the boards I want. So I want my practice, and I want my play. So a practice, then a game. It'll ask me where do I want to save it. Again, I'll just call it Session Plan 1. And I'll share this on the chat, and you can open up in your own leisure and see how it looks. I'll just open it on my screen just before I share it, just to make sure we kind of got the idea there. And that should be us done with static session plans. We'll move on, spend a little bit more time on animated session plans. But there you go, Session Plan 1, name it wherever you want. You might have your team name in there, the date of your session, the name of the coach, and name the board practice. So the name of your board might be, you know, warm up, component 1, whatever you call these components. This is what's going on. So coach shouts right, you play it, and then it's a 1v1 to go. Rotation, attacker becomes defender, and defender joins the line from which the attacker came. Simple rotation. And then I had a game. 4v4 game, and it explains how the theme stays quite consistent, where when you score or when you display positive behaviours, the coach might say, well done, come and try and score another goal for a bonus point, meaning that your players now need to defend outnumbered or work on attacking overloads. But that's all for my inventive play webinars as opposed to this. But there's the session plan there. And if it will allow me to, I will just share that on the chat very quickly as well. If there are any questions on static session plans, please ask them now and I'll try and have a quick look. But I do want to, I'm already cautious that I probably went over time, so I do want to crack on with animated session plans. Okay, that session plan's now been sent into the chat. Okay, I'll open TacticalPad again. And hopefully that serves, as I say, a basic introduction to how to use TacticalPad. There's loads of weird and wonderful things you can do, but the idea is TacticalPad is currently free at the moment during lockdown to help us through this tough time. Hopefully a lot of you have just recently purchased it and this is helping you to use it in preparation for hopefully football returning very soon. I'm now going to do an animated session plan. I think for the purpose of time, I'll just animated the one that I've just created there. So if I go into my boards, what I may want to do, again, boards, sorry, I'm just going to answer that question if I can. Yeah, you can save an entire session plan. So when you hit share, it will ask you what boards you want to include in your session plan. When you hit save as a TacticalPad project, that will save all your work in there. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but if I just show you when I hit share, document, however I want it to look, it will ask me what boards do you want. So if I wanted all the boards, I would select all of them. If I only wanted a few, I would only select a few. Hopefully that answered the question, but you can come back to me maybe at the end. Okay, so we're now going to move on to animated session plans. So when I hit boards here, if I wanted to make an animated session plan, I could go on to the animated boards up the top here, and I could create an animated session plan here. Or what you may want to do is animate a session plan that you've created statically. So this is kind of how I work as a coach. I statically prepare my sessions, I deliver them on the pitch. If I think they work well, I then animate them, and I've got them to view and watch back a little bit. So you take it in a little bit better as a video. I appreciate Fernando, who works for TacticalPad, may answer some questions for me, so thanks very much, Fernando. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to animate the static boards, but you could just be doing it from scratch. So I've got this session plan here. I'm going to go into tools. I've got my arrows, I've got my items, I've got my notes, I've got all this different stuff I can do, and then I'm going to decide, you know what, I actually want to animate this. So I'm going to hit animation, and it will say to me, this is a static board, are you sure you want to move it up to become an animated board? And I'm going to say yes, because I'm going to animate it. I'm probably going to go back into my boards and into this practice as well. This was the other one I've done, and I'm going to animate this one as well. Do you want to move this up to the animated board kind of panel? And I'm going to say yes. So now when I go into boards, all I've done, because I clicked animation, all I've done is move my practice and my play up to animated boards. But as I say, if I wanted just to start from scratch, I would just hit this big plus button here, and I would do all the things I've already showed you, get all the players on, get all the equipment on, and then start animating, which I'm about to do now. A great feature you can do over this webinar is if you do write something in the chat and I miss it, which I probably will do as I'm presenting, I can save the chat feature, and I've did it on all my webinars, and I'll look through it and I will reach out to you individually. This stuff's kind of keeping me sane during this lockdown, so I'm here to help. Please reach out. So I'm going to animate here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Tools. The Edit button gives me all of my items and all my arrows and all the stuff I've already showed you. The Animation button allows me to start animating. So the real key to animation is this button here, and I'll leave my mouse on it for a couple of seconds so you can see. Every time I click this button, it gives me a new frame. So if I click that button and move some things around, then they'll move within that frame. And then I click it again and I move some things around, they'll go there. Don't forget to hit the button, because if you move things around 5, 10, 15 times, if you've not hit that button, it's not going to be a different frame. You've only moved it once, essentially. But I'll just animate it here. So let's say I wanted to watch this in future to see what session this was, and if I want to use it again. I'm going to hit this button 2 or 3 times. So now I've got 7 boards of the same thing. I'm going to change the speed to ×2 just so it goes a wee bit quicker. So this is a video now, but the first couple of frames is essentially just showing me the arrows or whatever. The next frame, I'm going to delete the arrows. So I'm going to use the rubber again. And I'm actually going to animate what happens. So I'm going to click New Frame. My kind of taskbar has been really annoying here. Sorry guys, you're going to have to bear with me while I try and work out my technology. So I'm going to hit New Frame. I'm going to drag off this coach saying right, because I don't know what they're going to say every time. I'm going to hit a new frame. I'm going to enter some new text, and I'm going to get the coach to say, so text there, I'm going to get the coach to say left. Make that a bit bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take away the background. And that's what's going to happen on that first frame. So I'm going to hit play and see where we are. A little diagram to show me what's about to happen. And then the coach shouting left. So my next frame, I need the players to quickly react, and the goalkeeper plays the ball to the left. So that's all that's happening in this frame. That ball's going there. That player's moving on to it. That ball's going there. That player's moving on to it. Now there's something else that happens as well when the coach shouts left. The defender starts to move to the left. So I'm going to have this defender come out to the left. I'm going to have this defender come out to the left. And there's all the movements that are going to happen within this frame. Next frame, attackers approaching the goal a little bit more. Defenders approaching the ball a little bit more. Next frame, let's say attacker cuts inside here. Defender doesn't quite get there. Let's say attacker goes to this side. Defender doesn't quite get there. Next frame, goal. And I'll give a couple of different scenarios, obviously, on things we might want to show. Goal. And let's have a wee look at how that's looking now. So every time I hit a frame, I just show that action. Now I'm trying to remember my mindset when I first using TacticalPad, thinking that this was actually quite a lot and it would actually take a lot of time to get anything put together. The more you use it, the smoother you get, and honestly I can put together sessions very, very quickly now, and very enjoyable, because I'm going to show you some shortcuts as well very soon. So what happens next in the next frame? Well, these guys are going to go next. The coach shouting left is going to get dragged off, because he or she may not shout next time. The player who was the attacker is going to become the defender, move them around the goal, and the player who was the defender goes to the line from which that attacker came from. If you're just having a little look at how your session's looking, you may want to speed things up, to as quick as you possibly can, 4 times the speed, and just go through it. But then when you're saving it, you probably open it 1 time speed or 2 times speed to watch it back. Let's just see, how does this look? I'm not going to labour the point by doing this much longer, but I'm going to do it just 1 or 2 more times just to show a couple of shortcuts. So next frame, I need my goalie with the ball. We'll grab a ball out of the net. I need the coach shouting right or left, so I'll put some text in. Let's say right. The second that shout, next frame, the ball's going to the player on the right. The ball's going to the player on the right. and my defender's starting to move around. Now, there's a great tool that I'm going to show you now. You maybe have to use it a little bit. As opposed to showing players moving frame by frame, which can come a little bit false in football or soccer being a very quick game, you can show the movements that they're about to make. So it's a little bit less glitchy. So this defender here is going to start to move here. What side did we say? Right, going to start to move here. But next time I know they're running around the goal. Sorry, just a second. I know they're running around the goal there. So in the edit one, this line here that's a bit of a curved line, for me to draw curved lines, you can use the curved line for players to move in that fashion as well. So for the next frame, this player's going to come up here somewhere. The ball's going to go here. This player's going to dribble with it. Maybe do this a couple of times. This ball's going to go here. So I'm showing what's going to happen next, if that kind of makes sense. And if I just slow that one right down, obviously I'll speed it up in real time there. Now what are they going to do now? So I might use that squiggly line there to show this is a really good tool for like changes of direction and maybe getting the play to run a little bit longer. So I'm maybe going to get ball's going to go that way and then cut inside. Players obviously going with the ball. Defender's going to fall for it, not quite get there, and then end up behind. Same here. Let's say drops the shoulder that way, comes back inside that way. You see, it's the curved line's a little bit more. There's a little bit more freedom in regards to player movements. It's not just straight lines. So if I can show that again, it's a little bit more of a 1v1 situation. Next frame, shot. Next frame, shot. Okay, so if I just speed that up and show you. This is the one here where we use that. It's a little bit more multi-directional, maybe a little bit quicker. So what are we doing on the next frame? This person's going to go next. The word right is going to come off. The attacker is going to become the defender. And the defender is going to go to the line from which the attacker came from. And that'll probably do me here. I'll probably utilize that bent line a little bit more when I animate my game now, because there'll be more players running with the ball, players moving off the ball a little bit more. I'm just going to have a quick look at everybody's cameras. Can I get a thumbs up if everybody's still with me? Everybody's still there? Following it all okay? Please utilize the chat if you do have any questions. So there's my animated practice. And we'll just watch it through one last time to kind of get the idea. After this, I'm just going to quickly animate the game, quickly show you what I would do with it once it's animated, and then we'll be on to the last section, essentially, which is kind of more tactical stuff and how you share all these ideas that I've put together. So, okay, I'm quite happy that I've got my practice and then get my players into a game here. So let's animate this game here. Just showing things in maybe more real time. See how we're getting on so far. So if I play it from the start, it's just a 4v4 game of football, but you'll obviously have your own ideas and your own concepts that you want to animate. So you'll notice if you do anything wrong, you can always just use this kind of trash can here to delete a frame and do it again. So you'll notice I'm always kind of having a look at my progress to make sure that I'm not going beyond where I probably would take ages to fix, if that kind of makes sense. So the idea of this game is, I don't know, counter-attacking, momentary overloads, goalkeeper distribution. If you remember, that player kind of scores and then gets to go over here. Now, the goalie distribution on the ball here, it might be in the air, so I'm going to get the ball to go, and then you'll see every time you move the ball, you have these two options, whether it's on the air or on the ground. And then these two players need to delay while that player tries to get you a bonus point, crossbar challenge, or whatever it may be. And that player comes back in. Last 10 seconds on this, guys. Thanks for your patience. And we'll see how this starts to... Now I'm rushing it, so apologies if it's not quite right, but hopefully we get the idea. Okay, let's have a look and see how this looks. Any questions, please pop them on the chat. I'm going to have a little look at that now. So here's an animated game. Okay, bear with me. Let me have a quick look on the chat. I really appreciate Fernando is answering the questions better than me. Fernando's the main man. Okay, so that's me got a session plan here, an animated session plan as opposed to a static session plan. I've got my practice and I've got my game. Now, along with this animated session plan, those notes are still there. So those notes are still accompanying, even though it's a video, they're still accompanying it there. I just realized I still have these on 4 times speed. I'm going to change them to 2 times speed so they're a little bit easier to follow. What I may want to do is check in with how's it looking in 3D view. 3D view here. You would obviously probably adjust item size if you're planning it for 3D, etc. But yeah, as I said, you can keep checking in if 3D view is your preferred method of creating sessions, watching sessions, etc. Then keep checking into the 3D view. Obviously, it's maybe better to actually plan and use 3D view throughout the planning session. But yeah, I think it's a phenomenally impressive piece of software to be able to do things like this. So we will come out of 3D, we'll come back in here. The reason I mentioned that all that text is still there, so if I want to share this now as a session plan that I'm going to deliver, or I want to share ideas with other coaches, I'll just hit share, and it's animated now, so I now have the video of the option of a video. So if I was to share the video, that would be I'm sharing the board that I'm on. So I'm on the practice board, practice video, and I'll save that and I'll put that in the chat. And it'll be a lot quicker when you guys are doing it. I'm obviously on the Scottish Wi-Fi here, which isn't great, but it's a very smooth, fast process. I'll share both of these videos and then we'll move on to a little bit more tactical stuff, which should be 5 minutes. Because I'm just going to show you how you can maybe do it as opposed to actually doing it, because everyone will have their own interpretation of doing some tactical things. This is a good moment for me to check the chat again if anyone wants questions, etc. Appreciate that positive feedback as well, and I really hope that these kind of webinars, they have previously, they open up lines of communications and people will send me their coaching ideas and their session plans and maybe take a little bit of interest in some of my ideas, because that's what it's all about, especially at a time like this. I'm just trying to think if I've not mentioned anything that I maybe should mention at this point. So I won't export the game just now, just because my laptop is very slow. But I will do that and I will share it on the chat at the end, and I'll hang around if anyone wants to chat. I'm just going to quickly move on to the final bit, which is a bit of accessing pre-made sessions on TacticalPad. So this one included, and loads of other sessions that you can. I'll just discuss it just now so it makes a little bit more sense when we actually get to that point. You can go into a whole catalogue of pre-made TacticalPad sessions from myself and other coaches, and you can become one of these coaches if you're keen to share ideas. And then you can open it and then you can edit it slightly, or you can just print it as a session plan and use it. But you may want to change it slightly for yourself. So there's a whole catalogue of sessions in there. It's just a case of searching that, I go in there and I search possession sessions, or 3v2s, 2v1s, whatever it may be, fun sessions for kids, and you can automatically get a lot of sessions. I've shared that video. I'll put it on the chat. When we finish, I'll share the other video. I'll put it on the chat. The reason I was mentioning that the text is still there, even though this is an animated session plan, if I go share, document, PDF, select these two boards, you can still turn animated session plans into PDFs. So I'll do that and I'll share it on the chat. If we can just very quickly, obviously conscious of time, etc. If we can just very quickly go into the tactical stuff. So if I go into boards here, let's go into static board to begin with. You may do it as an animated board, whatever. I've loaded up these teams, Real Madrid and Barcelona. If you look underneath Barcelona, there's a kind of fast track way to get all the players on the pitch. So you click on this underneath and you pick the formation. You can obviously then edit and move it around. Or if you wanted to, you would just drag players on where you want them to be. So I'm just going to quickly click this. I'm going to go 4-3-3. I'm maybe going to go into my team settings again and see however you want it to be, So it may be that, and again, making things a wee bit bigger. Now, I'm not going to go into the tactical stuff a lot because it is a case of just playing with TacticalPad and getting to know all the functions. The arrows, the movements, obviously you can just animate this the way I've animated everything else, just get the players moving. I'm trying to think as well. I'll put some opposition in. Let's say we just go name and number, might look a wee bit cleaner. Name and number. So let's get Real Madrid in there as well. 4-3-3 as well. So again, it might be the players' pictures, it might just be their names, it might just be their numbers, it might be whatever it is. And what I use this function for more than anything on TacticalPad is I just use it as a tactics board. So on my tablet, or if it's in a presentation room and we have it up on the screen, I'll maybe just move them around. So I'm not animating them, or I'm not, saving it. I'm just moving the players around, and it's great for my players as well. I'm very fortunate in the academy I work in. We have touchscreen monitors. When I ask a player something, they can come up and just put their finger on a player and move around. So that's a couple of the things that you may want to do. I'm just going to make the players a little bit smaller, a little bit more manageable. I'm also going to edit the field. As I say, I prefer that kind of idea. Yeah, let me just quickly, tools, items, let's put a board to Stegen's feet here. Make that a little bit smaller. Let's quickly do an animation. If anyone's seen Barcelona playing out from the back last year, the kind of interesting one with the centre backs taking the goal kicks, which essentially meant Ter Stegen was taking a goal kick, but he had the ball at his feet to play, so he could dribble it and commit someone and play. So anyway, let's say I wanted to animate that kind of idea. I don't know, but I don't want to get too kind of into this. There is one quick feature I do want to show you that I use a lot. So again, it's just a case of, do you want to change this to animation? Yes. Slide 1, PK plays it to Ter Stegen. And then, you know, gets high and wide. Busquets looks for the ball. You know, whatever it may be, whatever you're looking to do. Ter Stegen pops it into Messi. Messi then, you know, kind of takes on the whole team, as he probably would. You know, whatever it is you're looking to do. But I will show you that one feature quickly. So yeah, there's what I use for tactics. You know, I put them in. I use it as a tactics board more than anything else. Get them moving around. The one feature that I was going to show you very quickly was I really like the connectors feature, and just making you aware of this kind of feature is probably a really good thing. So if I give De Jong, Busquets, and Arthur are my midfield three, if I go into edit effects, this is probably a button you would use more on tactics than anything else. Guys, I'm giving myself 5 more minutes before I open up to questions and try and wrap up, because I appreciate you've listened to me a lot today. So trail, for example, I don't know if you're maybe at the stage or in your line of profession where you're kind of looking at heat maps and things like that, you might want to have a trail of where players are moving, kind of thing. You might want to highlight players. Connectors is really the only one I use in here because I talk about midfield rotations and striker movement and things like that. So let's say Busquets, I'm cautious of getting a little bit too complicated with the TacticalPad features. But let's say that midfield three, I want a connector between the three of them. I don't know, a yellow line from the first frame to the last frame. That obviously might say from the 5th frame to the 10th frame or whatever. And now as I'm animating them, whatever it is they may be doing in my tactical presentation, or my, you know, if De Jong drops in here, I want Busquets and R2 to go a wee bit higher. If R2 drops, then I want De Jong to come this side of the triangle, that side of the triangle, whatever it may be. That connectors feature is quite good to maybe show the relationships between, I don't know, 2 centre backs. You know, one pressing the ball, one coming into cover. Overlaps between your fullbacks and your wingers. I don't know, whatever it may be. But that what is it called? Sorry, that effects tab is a really good one when you're doing tactical stuff. Any questions on tactical things? I essentially use TacticalPad as a tactics board. I put the players out there and I move them around, and it paints really good pictures for the players. Okay, so the final thing from me is going to be, if we're in menu and we're in this repositories here, this is what I was saying. So TacticalPad is a great website. It's a great function. It's just as it says, it's an encyclopedia full of TacticalPad content, sessions and drills. So if you were to click on here and then you were to search for sessions in here, you could find pre-made sessions and drills that are on here. There's a limited amount of contributors. If you're interested in becoming a contributor, you can reach out to TacticalPad. But between myself and, I don't know, 20 or 30, maybe even more other contributors, there's a host of sessions on there. So you would just search, the boards would come up, say you search passing or whatever, and then you can download that board and put it onto your TacticalPad project. So what I'll do really quickly is, I'll save this. I don't want to lose any of this because I'm going to share all the content with you from today. I'll go into here and I'll just show you that function, guys, and then that'll essentially be it from me. Hopefully that gives you a good basis to go on and create some sessions, and I'd be interested to see them if anyone does want to network at the end of this. And I'd be interested to share some of my ideas as I'm doing at the moment through Muller webinars. So let me just try and find, there's so many sessions in here, and that's why the search function is so important to find what it is you're looking for. Let me just try and find one of my sessions quickly. I wouldn't be overly comfortable opening someone else's. Okay, so here's a couple of my sessions here. Yeah, so a massive repository of drills, if you're looking for them. Another great way to share your TacticalPad projects and ideas and drills is obviously through Twitter and Facebook and social media as well. Yeah, so all I've done there is I've went into that button, repositories there. You can search for something, or you can, just scroll through and have a little look. And here's some sort of session here, whatever it may be. It's an animated board. Some of them might be static boards. You can have a little look. There is some notes there of what's actually going on. This is obviously one of my sessions here. And of course you can watch it, you can edit it, you can do whatever you want with it, share it, create into a PDF, create into a video here. Just as I'm watching this is one that I actually really like, to be honest. So this is a case of playing the ball, and then the two purples are trying to prevent that split pass to the yellow player. And then once it goes in, it just rotates round, and I swear it's a really good one with accompanying text. You've got the 4 goals on the outside if defenders win the ball. Essentially, it's a 3v2. There's a target pass that the players are trying to make. So it's that yellow player just now there. Don't let it go in, but the second it goes in, obviously the 2 yellows are in possession now and the reds are defending. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked now, just to show you there are sessions on there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back into the webinar and I'm going to round off. So I guess for me, it's just a massive thank you for tuning in. There is a quick introduction to TacticalPad. If you have any questions, please get in touch. A lot of your knowledge of TacticalPad may surpass mine. So if you have anything overly complicated, get in touch with TacticalPad guys, or if you have any ideas, they're always keen to evolve the technology. They're superb at listening to ideas because essentially it's for coaches. So it should be designed by coaches. So please get in touch with the guys. They're absolutely fantastic. Share your content on Twitter, email, etc. And I guess any other questions, put them on the chat because I'm going to have a good look through that, and I'll reach out via email. If I missed anything, I'll email you anyway, so you have my email address, just to share some content and say thank you. And I guess for me, just obviously everyone stay safe and stay well at this kind of crazy time that we're living in. Thank you so much for tuning in today, everyone. Thank you.